Tonight's edition of Arizona Giving and Leading looks at Mama's House. It's a home here in the Valley where victims of domestic violence and sex trafficking can go for recovery programs. Marion Douglas is the founder of Mama's House and joins us now to talk about her work. It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Give us an overview of what Mama's House is all about.
Okay, MOMA, M-O-M-A, it's an acronym, and that is My Own Movement Toward Achievement. Mama's House is a safe house for women who have been victims of domestic violence and human sex trafficking.
And now, are these women that how do you find these women? How do they find you?
Well, we work with the local and federal law enforcement. When we first started, we reached out to the shelters for the women who were the victims of domestic violence, churches, word of mouth, just women who need assistance in changing their lives.
And that really is the mission, isn't it? Just helping people who need the help?
That's right, helping the women that need the help.
Talk about what kind of help there, what kind of programs, what kind of services? Well,
again, it's I'm an acronym queen because I was in corporate America for over 30 years, and we have a program called AMOM, and it's just Mama spelled backwards. AMOMs is aspirations, mentoring, outreach, and motivation. So when a woman walks through the doors of Mama's House, what does she aspire to be? Because she's left that life of abuse. So we help her with trying to build a development plan to reach her goals. So every woman at Mama's House has an individualized program. So it may be she needs her GED, she may have her high school diploma, wants to go to college. We talk to them about careers, not just getting a job, but thinking about a career and holding on to that job. You know, anybody can go get a job, but how do you hold on to it? So we teach them to utilize the tools that's already out there in the community to help them to move forward in their journey.
How do you instill this independent living skill set in folks, some of whom may not have even come close to thinking along those lines? Is there a progress that happens here? How do you do that?
Well, we say when a woman walks through the doors of Mama's House, she comes there to feel, to deal, and to heal. So when she walks through the door, the feel part of it is we show love unconditionally, and we just embrace them. We have a team of volunteers that do the same. Then we help them to deal with their issues, and then they go into the healing process. So again, there are some women that come through the doors that maybe the program does not work for them, but we try to help them in finding a program that does. A lot of the women have gone through very brutal beatings or whatever, and so we just try to love them and teach them that they're important and that their lives do mean something, and they can go beyond what was. We're living in what's going to happen in the future for them.
And now, does each woman have her own room?
Every woman has her own room. It's very important that they have their own safe havens, so to speak. So they share common areas like the kitchen and the dining rooms, but they have their own room. They don't visit each other in their rooms because, again, that's their safe place to go when they just kind of want to have their own time. But we promote family. A lot of the young girls that are not really young girls, but young women and women that come through the doors really haven't had that sense of family. So it's very important to create that family atmosphere for them.
Do they have children themselves?
Some of them do have children, but their children have been placed in CPS or their children are grown. So we don't allow the women to come with the children, because during my research, I found that the women who didn't have children or children were grown didn't have a place to go. If a woman goes to a shelter, there's shelters that accept children. If a single woman goes to a shelter, she's typically the last one to get in and the first one to go if beds aren't available. So it's important for us to be able to have a safe haven for these women that don't have their kids, or a woman that's getting out of prison and is trying to be reunited with her children. So we assist them in those areas as well.
What are the challenges in dealing with people who've been victimized, abused, they're survivors in a variety of ways, and yet come to Mama's House from so many different directions? What are the challenges there?
The challenge is that we as a community have to understand that these women have gone through some rough times, and so we are not to judge them. We are to just love them and to help them to move forward. Financially, a lot of the women can't get jobs. If a young girl has been prostituting since she was 13 and now she's 18 or 19, where's she going to get a job? She has no skills. So we have to build those job skills, those life skills, just the love that she has to get for herself in order to move forward.
Can it be difficult, though, I mean, if someone comes to Mama's House and acts out in a certain way, how difficult can it be for that unconditional love to try to rein in this young woman?
Well, I think it's the challenge that you have with raising a child.
Yeah.
You know, you just say, look, this program is for you, and if you want it, then it's here for you, and if you don't, we understand. And we have had women to leave the program and come back. We had, you know, several to leave 2 or 3 times. But again, like you said, it is a challenge to give that unconditional love, but we're faith. We believe in faith, and we believe that just like God loves us unconditionally, we are to love His children unconditionally.
Well, speaking of faith, you were awarded an Angel on Earth. What was that award about? Because that's that was a very special honor.
That was very exciting. The first one and only one in Arizona. An angel, I call him John Scheimer, has a new nonprofit that he started, and he likes to identify. He feels that there are earthly angels as well as heavenly angels. So he identifies people such as me to give them an award, to thank them for the work that they do. And it's very important. I've been doing this for 6 years, and I literally left my job to do Mama's House. And so it's I say that there's angels along the way, and John likes to identify those angels that are doing things that people don't know about. I tell people there's a lot of Marion Douglases out here that just have it in their heart to be the difference in someone's life. So Angels Amongst Us project identifies people like myself, and it's important for people to, if you're out there watching, that you think about those people that are out there giving of themselves and just wanting to be the difference in someone's life. So I don't know if you'll have his website up, but anyone who wants to nominate someone, they can do that, and John urges them to do. He goes all over the United States.
So what's next now for Mama's House? I mean, as far as individual residents, what kind of expense are we talking about here?
It literally costs Mama's House $160 a day to house a woman. We have what we call a program fee where the women pay $300 a month, so that equates to $10 a day. So it's very challenging when you don't have, we haven't received any grants. We have we have a lot of donors that have given of themselves and given of funds, and so we really need help in the financial realm to open more doors. Ultimately, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have a Mama's House in every city and state that I can, to be able to help these young women who have been victimized and who are now survivors.
That sounds like a great plan. It sounds like a great program. You're doing great work. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.